Vort, and this is Kitchen Table Productions, a show about living well with low carb. Well, last week some friends of mine asked me what they could do with squash, and I asked them what kind. Well, they weren't really sure. They were looking to try new things. So today's show is for them because I'm going to show you how to cook spaghetti squash. Now, spaghetti squash is called spaghetti squash not because it tastes like spaghetti, but because when you cook it, it separates into these thin yellow strands that look a lot like spaghetti. Well, I've got a lot to show you, so let's get started. Now here's my spaghetti squash. When you're looking for one in the store, some things to keep in mind. The spaghetti squash should be yellow and hard all over. You want to avoid anything with a soft spot. Color-wise, they'll be anything from a pale to a dark yellow. The color doesn't matter to the flavor. Just make sure there aren't any green spots. Now you can cut these in half and only cook one side at a time. I do this a lot since it's usually just me eating it. If you're going to do that, you want to take your knife and push down from the top, going through the board, and then lever the knife down. Then you turn your squash around and do the same for the other side. However, you'll notice that this squash is round. It rolls, it spins, and because it's so hard, you'll need both a very sharp knife and a good deal of muscle. Be very careful if you plan to cut a raw spaghetti squash. Now today, we're going to do this the easy way, which I'm sure my friends will appreciate. We're just going to cook the whole squash first and then cut it open. Our first step is to take our knife and to make some deep piercings all over. Try to get in about an inch. As you can see, they're very hard. This will give the squash some places to vent the steam. This is the most important step. If you don't do this, you're not cooking a spaghetti squash, you're making a spaghetti bomb. The thing will explode in your microwave. And that's a mess I know I wouldn't want to clean up. About 8 or so nice deep cuts should do it. You just gotta get it. Don't worry about little spots like that. Those are fine. As you can see, they're very, very hard. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Alright, now I'm just going to put this on a plate and get it in my microwave. A good rule of thumb is 2 to 3 minutes per pound of squash, depending on the strength of your microwave. This one is almost 4 pounds, so I'm going to cook it for 12 minutes. About halfway through, I'm going to rotate it from end to end and top to bottom. You can also do this in oven, just bake it for about 1 hour at 375. Okay, now while that's cooking, let's talk about our options. You can use spaghetti squash in just about any application you would use spaghetti for. However, the flavor and the texture are slightly different. Spaghetti squash is slightly sweet and it has a crispiness to it that spaghetti doesn't. Now, a good low-carb spaghetti sauce would work great. It also works well in casseroles. I've heard of people putting chili over it. One of my favorite ways to eat it is just with salt and a little butter. But today I'm going to coat it in olive oil with some oregano and some garlic, and it's going to be fabulous. Let's check on the squash. Ooh, you can hear it sizzling. Yeah. Alright, see that give? The skin is still leathery, but the inside is nice and soft. That's what we're looking for. If your squash doesn't feel soft like this, go ahead and cook it for a few more minutes. Now, if I try to work with this now, fresh from the microwave, I can tell I'm going to burn myself badly. So I'm just going to let this sit here for another 5 minutes. And the residual heat inside will do some extra cooking. Alright, we've cooled off for about 5 minutes, and I need to finish cutting this in half. So just like I said before, I'm going to go in, top, cut straight down. That cuts much more easily now that it's cooked. Okay, I'll turn it around. The same on the other side. Just let the knife do the work. There we go. This stem's a little hard. I'll just go around that. There we are. There we go. Now you'll see that there's some seeds here down the center. We need to get those out. Because it's already cooked, we'll have to scoop it out very gently with the spoon. We don't want to take any of that beautiful squash meat underneath. We just want to get the seeds. There we go. Now these seeds are out of the way, and I'll get this one out of the way too. You'll see how it's coming apart right from the sides. We can just scoop out, or scrape out, with a fork, all this meat. You see how it's turning into these long, spaghetti-like strands. It scoops up very easily. This is still hot, so I've got to be careful that I don't burn myself. There we are. I'll just put this in a bowl. There we are. Beautiful. See that? That's some gorgeous stuff. Now to make that sauce. Okay, I'm going to start with about 1/3 of a cup of olive oil. It's extra virgin olive oil. Just pour that right on in. I'm going to add to that about 2 cloves of crushed garlic. It's starting to smell good. I'm going to add in a handful of black olives because I like black olives. If you don't like black olives, you could use anything you want. Mushrooms, carrots, chicken, as long as it's cooked, pepperoni maybe, even zucchinis. I'm also going to add in a pinch of some kosher salt here, maybe 2. Because remember, there isn't any salt at all yet in the squash. Okay, now I'm just going to take my squash and toss this in to coat. Put a pinch of salt there. Beautiful. And I almost forgot my oregano. Just going to use a few sprigs here of fresh oregano. There we are. This smells wonderful. I wish you could smell this. You could use dried oregano, of course. Dried oregano is much stronger than fresh. There we are. Beautiful. I'm just going to plate some of this up. There we are. It's always an adventure. Nice handful of some Asiago cheese. And there we go. Yummy, delicious, low carb, low calorie, ready to eat. Now, a cup of cooked spaghetti squash has about 10 carbs, which makes it pretty equivalent to a good low carb pasta. However, there are only 50 calories in that cup and a lot of good nutrients as well, so it's worth trying out to see if you like it. Well, we hope we've inspired you to try some spaghetti squash. For this recipe and many others, please visit our website, kitchentableproductions.net. I'm Jessica Bavort, and this has been Kitchen Table Productions.